So I will start from the very basic. That is, what is ethics? So whenever we live in any society, if we live in a family, if we live in a village, if we live in a city, we have a set of standards that is guiding our behavior. If we are living in family, if we have to talk to the parents, there is a certain respectful way. Or if you have to talk to the elder, there is a certain respectful way. So there are some standards which are always guiding on you, which are guiding your behavior or choices, what you want to do, what you want to become, or in a particular circumstances, what action you can take. If you are going and you saw a small child throwing stones at you, so can you also throw stones at him or her? A small kid? No, because ethics is guiding your choices. He is a kid who is not aware about his action. Okay. So you must have heard that there are determinants of ethics. And one of that is the scenario in which you are there. Now that will decide what norm, what guideline will guide your action, choices, or behavior. If you are in a war-torn area, your ethics will be different compared to you are living in a civilian area in a perfectly peaceful circumstances. Okay. So in simpler words, it is knowing the difference between what you have right to do and what is right to do. That is, there are certain things for which there is no law that is trying to block you. Okay, I can give you the example that if an ambulance is coming on the road and if you are not giving the way, it's not unlawful, but it is unethical. Okay, so ethics is knowing the difference between what you have right to do and what is right to do. So this way you have to understand. And ethics may or may not be legally binding. The principles of Gita are not all principles of Gita have been codified. Okay. So it's not necessary that all the ethical principles are legally binding. Yes, some ethical principles are legally binding, like fundamental rights. Those are also ethics. Constitution is the biggest book of ethics in our country. Okay. Determinant, as I was talking about. So the determinants of ethics are object and the circumstances. Only those actions which satisfy involvement of knowledge. I was talking about infant and a kid. So he doesn't know about what repercussion his action will have. That is involvement of knowledge. Voluntariness, that means if someone on gunpoint is telling you to lie or to beat someone, then there is no voluntariness. And third is free will. Free will means you should have always two choices at least to choose among. Okay. So if you do not have multiple choices, then you don't have free will. Okay. So these are the things which you need to keep in mind. Even in the case study, these are the principles which you have to apply. The second terms which comes is very, very important is values. So values can be highly personal, and values can be both negative as well as positive. You can have negative values as well. You can have positive values as well. Virtues are always positive. No? Virtues are always positive. Values can be negative. Values can be positive as well. And they are highly personal also. They are like fingerprints. Everybody's values may differ. Fingerprints are not always same. So as they are deeply personal, they are guiding always your directions, meaning, and even giving you purpose in the life. You have chosen to prepare for civil services. That is also because of your values. So values are like lighthouses. Lighthouses are there in ocean, which guides the direction of a ship. Same manner, values are guiding your action. Values are guiding and giving meaning and purpose to your life. And values are more, people are aware about their values. But ethics, some people are aware, some people are not aware. And sometimes because of societal sanctions, they are adhering to it. But values are very personal. So most of the time you adhere to your values. Okay. Then how the development of values happen? The moment you are born, you start observing your immediate family members. First you start observing your parents, then you start observing your siblings, and then you go to school. In school also you learn from your classmates, then you learn from also your teachers. Okay, so this process goes on. Now, there have been examples like Virat Kohli credits his father for his a firm belief in hard work and not to look for any kind of favors. So he always stood firm. That was because he imbibed these values from his father. And Baba Amte has always given all the credits to his mother. Okay, so family will teach you if your father is non-democratic. Okay, if he's taking all the decision, he's not respecting your mother. You will also imbibe now, knowingly, unknowingly, the patriarchal values and undemocratic values. So it is always said that now highly bureaucratic or not having any control is not the type of parenting which should be there. There should be a dynamic parenting. Okay, dynamic parenting is a mix of hard and soft power which you apply to give shape to your child. If it is completely rigid, like a helicopter parenting is that every minute actions are seen and observed and judged. Even how you will eat, how you will drink, where you will go, what will be your hobbies, what will be your profession, everything is decided by your parents. That is called as helicopter parenting. If that is there, then you will lose all the confidence. Okay, you will become very fearful. Then there is role of education. Education teaches you a lots of values, and education also helps you to unlearn certain dogmas. Education is not all about learning new things, but also unlearning things which are not rational. Okay, like in Netherlands, now from classroom itself, they make classrooms which don't have any plastic. Okay, so no plastic classroom is inspiring or imbibing the values that environment is important and plastics are harmful. Then there is also a role of society. If you are born in a war-torn Palestine, then naturally you will have certain values which won't be positive. Now you cannot expect a person who was born in a war-torn situation to be very, very empathetic. Okay, because socialization is very improper. He or she may become violent also because of the socialization that is taking place. And if the society is just like Japan, so if Japan is the society in which being moral or being valued, having positive value is something which is revered, and everybody is following the rules. So if you are not following rules, you are odd one out. But in India, what is there? If you are honest, people have proud that they are honest. They are very proud about that we are honest civil servant. But this is your duty. This is you are supposed to do. So it depends on the society that how the people will be shaped. When people see that they are being treated justly, they also become just. Okay. Role of media. So in media, you will see now eye candy representation of female journalists. They are showed in a manner that they are something to be consumed. They are objectified. One thing you will see. Second, you will see a lot of advertisement of deodorants and etc. in which you will see that if you are applying something, girls are coming from all direction. Again, objectified. Then you will see also racial discrimination, which is there in the media, and then the regional bias, everything is shown. Now you will see a prime time debate between two religion people and a cross fighting which is being organized. But there is a positive example. Bhaskar News took a very good decision to not publish color of skin of daughter in matrimonial ad. They will not hide that the girl is fair or not fair. Okay, that was a very positive decision. Constitution. The Constitution is always guiding you. Constitution says that you should have scientific temper, you should have fraternity, you should secure our culture, heritage, monuments, and environment. Okay, so all of these are in renouncing practices derogatory to women. Everything is being written. There are also two types of value. You must have heard that there is often a kind of generation gap between two generations. This is because of the conflict of modern and traditional value. So often the very young generations think that what is traditional is always wrong. And the traditional people think that what is modern is always wrong. It's not desirable. But Dalai Lama said that open your arms to change, but don't let go of your values. It's not something that if you are born in India, you need to blindly imbibe all the Western attire, all the Western food, and all the Western culture. You can absorb egalitarian values and still be an Indian. So this is what is desirable. Then there are some values which are not dependent on time, space, or even not dependent on you are traditional or modern, or you are from USA or you are from India. That is cardinal values. Cardinal values were given by Aristotle. He talked about prudence, justice, temperance, and courage. Okay, we will see one by one the terms, then we will discuss all of this. So this you can use. Whenever there will be a debate on values, you can always quote cardinal values of Aristotle. And Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam had given a very beautiful quotation. The three key societal members who can make a difference are father, mother, and teacher. Now let's see morals. So morals are the beliefs. You believe that there is a God. You believe that God is of certain form. You believe that God has said all these things. This is a belief. There is no scientific proof of whatever religion says. It's a belief. Okay. And beliefs are based on practices, teachings regarding how people should conduct themselves. There is no rationality in it. This is a very personal compass of right or wrong. Okay. So and they are highly resistant to change because it is based on belief and faith. When faith comes, then it will be highly resistant to change. And people believe in their morals now very strictly compared to even values and ethics. Like if it is said that on Tuesday you will not cut your hair, if it is based on belief and faith, you won't go. That's very, very resistant to change. Your morals are very, very resistant to change. There is a Kohlberg model who had talked about the development of the morality in different stages, like pre-conventional, then conventional, then post-conventional. So in pre-conventional development of morality, you are just trying to avoid punishment and gain more and more reward. So when you are child now, what your parents do is that if you will get 90% marks, I will give you a toy. If you will do this, I will give you a chocolate. Okay. If you won't do this, then I will punish you. This is now what happens because they know that you are at a pre-conventional morality stage. You want to avoid punishment and get more and more reward. In conventional morality, what happens is you understand what society desires. You are in this stage. You are in this stage where you know that what a society desires. You are thinking about that. That is the conventional morality stage. And post-conventional is that you are not bothered about what society is saying or what reward or punishment. You are being drawn by your own conscience. That is post-conventional stage. So this was the stage given by Kohlberg model. Then there is a very important term, attitude. So attitude is now when you see, say for example, you see a person coming from Africa, okay, you would have certain kind of predisposition, some thought will come, predisposition to act in a way, to think in a way, to feel in a way by seeing that person. That is your attitude. Okay. So attitude is not actually how you're behaving, but the predisposition, the tendency, that is attitude. And it has three components, which is called as ABC component. ABC means A for affective, B for behavioral, C for cognitive. So affective is the emotional component. And B, behavioral, so you understand the behavioral component. Cognitive means the rational component, where you're reasoning, which is I will say harder to change, but most resistant to change is affective component. When you are emotionally attached, say for example, if you like a cricketer, okay, so you will go at length and you will fight with the person you even don't know on Instagram and Facebook through comment box. That is the affective component. Religion is the component is affective. Okay, cognitive is that you shouldn't smoke. No, and there is a reason given that if you will smoke, cancer can happen. That is the cognitive component. Okay, and the last one is the behavioral, the tendency to behave in a certain way. That's the last level of your attitude. Okay, and behavioral component changes only when two things happen. One is that someone whom you revere, okay, is telling you to behave in a certain way, is persuading you to behave in a certain way. Like Sachin Tendulkar used to come in a wash initiative. Wash initiative was a hygiene initiative that you should wash your hands. So then your behavioral component will change. Okay, but affective component is the most resistant to change. There is a beautiful quotation of Dale Carnegie that you can overcome anything in life. The only disability in life is a bad attitude. If you have a bad attitude, then it cannot be overcome. Okay. And then positive attitudes are also now instilled by different action. I had talked about today the library initiative in the ethics channel. There was also a very positive initiative by BCCI, equal pay for equal sports. Like the batters, if they are women or men, they will be paid equally. Okay. Then there is a beautiful quotation again given by Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. Birds find shelter during a rain, but eagle avoids rain by flying above the clouds. So problems are common, but attitude makes a difference. So I had given you a lot of examples of this positive attitude when I had taken the session on the mindset to get a rank session, if you had watched that. And racist attitude is strengthened by the advertisement of fairness, fair and lovely. Fair is lovely. That implies that fair is lovely. Fair is something desirable. If you are fair, you have confidence. If you are not fair, you are not confident. Okay. So now it's a $1 billion industry in India. To become fair is a $1 billion industry. Why? Indians were traditionally brown people. Okay, we were not traditionally coming from the white race because our geography is such. There is nothing else. The geography decides your color, as simple as that. But when we were colonized, not only by Britishers, but when people from Central Asia also came, even the Arabs, Mongols, they were fairer than us. So slowly, this thing percolated that people who were more fair than you, they were ruling you. So you felt that people who are more fair than us are superior. Okay, so that is how all these things developed. But you should understand that when the archaeological evidences of that Babri mosque and all this was happening, then an archaeologist had dig down. Then he found one inscription in which it was written that this temple, this place belongs to a dark Vishnu temple. What does it mean? Dark Vishnu temple means that in our traditional mythologies, our all gods were dark skinned. Okay. Nowadays you will see that even the gods have been made the fair skin, but the traditional color of Indians is brown. Because of the colonization, we feel that fairness is something which is desirable. Fairness is beauty. Fairness is confidence, and fair people are superior people. Okay. There is a beautiful quotation of Thomas Alva Edison. His assistant said that we failed 2,000 times and all our effort went in. Okay. So he replied very beautifully. He said that we have come a long way, as we know that there are 2,000 elements that we can't use to make a good bulb. This is called as positive attitude. Okay. And there is aptitude. So aptitude is now that our education system fails to acknowledge that everybody has some innate ability. Some of you may be very good uh, public speaker. Now you would have that quality. You will become public speaker when you will train yourself. But this will be a certain innate quality that is there. Some of you may have the quality. If you play cricket, you can play some exceptional shots. Now, some of you may have aptitude of now performance arts, dance, singing, anything can be there. So it is a natural ability or your innate potential to learn or acquire a skill. So if you are trained for that particular ability that you have, you may reach a very high altitude in that particular field. And that is the work of education, to find what you are good at. Okay, this is what is done in a very good manner in China nowadays. But previously in United States of America, there were special schools for people who were so good in mathematics. So they were taken out from the common school at a very young age, and they were taught mathematics. Okay, that doesn't mean that they weren't taught the societal part or ethics. They were taught that also, but 70-75% of the time when in the things they like. If they were very good in sports, they were given the admission in such schools and colleges where sports facilities were there. You may have heard now there was a school in Mumbai, Sharda school, something from Sharda only, from where Sachin Tendulkar, Kambli, and many other cricket players came. Okay. I think in Mumbai, Don Bosco School is also famous for providing all kinds of sports facilities. So even in India, there were certain schools which were recognized for people having certain aptitude. Okay. Now, aptitude is both mental and physical. Mental is that if you have a poetry, if you have a natural ability to write poems, that is a mental aptitude. Physical aptitude can be that Michael Phelps. Michael Phelps had considerably long size of hands. So the span of his hands was relatively more than a common person of his height would have. And that is why he had aptitude to swim. That helps. So that is physical aptitude. So aptitude can be both mental and physical. Now, you may have aptitude, but in longer run, it is attitude that will help you to rise in life. They said now that hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. That is, talent means you have aptitude. Talent means that you may be good in ethics, but if you're not writing answer, if you're not revising, if you're not watching all the sessions, that means what will happen? You won't be able to excel. There is a beautiful example of there were two great poets. Okay, they both were brother. One was Dvijendranath Tagore, one was Rabindranath Tagore. Dvijendranath Tagore was far more gifted in terms of his scholarly ability, but he was a drunkard. So his all kinds of the writings that he used to write used to flow in the river, and he had he was not in his senses most of the time. And Rabindranath Tagore had a very positive attitude, and he worked hard for his writing skills. That's why he was able to write books like Chitrangada or the Gitanjali or Kabuliwala and so on and so forth. Okay, so this is the attitude versus aptitude. You all know Sachin versus Kambli example, that is very redundant, but I'm explaining you a historical example as well. Dvijendranath Tagore versus Rabindranath Tagore. Then there is a beautiful quotation of Thomas Alva Edison, that is, genius is 1% inspiration, 99% perseveration. Perseveration means doing one thing many times, even when you are failing. That is perseveration. Doing things repeatedly. Okay. And this is a Zig Ziglar, a very common quotation. Your attitude, not your aptitude, will determine your altitude. That means if you don't have a positive attitude, even if you have all the talents, you will not rise in life in a particular field. Then there is a term, integrity. Integrity has come from the word integer. Integer means whole. Whole means that you may be saying among your friends that you shouldn't smoke and smoking is bad and this and that, and preaching all the lessons, or preaching about diets, or preaching about exercise, or preaching about nobility. But when it comes to practicing it, you are not practicing it. So you don't have integrity. Integrity means what you are thinking, what you are speaking, and what you are doing should be in sync. Okay. And if you are doing that, that means you are adhering to highest moral standards. If you say that honesty is best policy, you are not only saying, you are thinking also that honesty is best policy, and you are doing acts also which is satisfying this value. Okay. So integrity means that you have consistency in thought, speech, and action. So this Venn diagram also you can make, which I have made here. Okay, thought, speech, action, and this congruent part is integrity. So there are many examples. Like Gandhiji believed in non-violence, and he adhered to it even in difficult circumstances when things were not going in his favor, like Chori Chora incident. So he was against violence. Even when he had to call off such a big movement, he did not compromise. So he had integrity. There are other examples like road collector Anand Kumar. So civil servants say that I am all for providing quality education. I did this and that, and their own children are studying in private schools. But road collector Anand Kumar admitted daughter to government school, consistent to his belief in quality of education in public schools. The same way that my father also believed that he was in education department, so he always said that I will try to teach my sons in government schools. Okay, so then only I am doing justice to all the things that I say. So this is what you have to do in life. If all the government servants or civil servants, children are studying in government school, naturally the quality will enhance. Okay, so this is called as integrity. There are so many examples that I have given. And this is very meaningful thing. Real integrity is not that you know that there is no traffic police. Okay, you know that you won't be caught. Still, you are following the red light. Still, you are following all the lane rules. This is real integrity. Real integrity is doing the right thing, knowing that nobody is going to know whether you did it or not. This is integrity. Then the next term is dedication. It is the quality of being able to not only do one thing. It's not like I am attending the class. This is not dedication. But you are also giving your entire attention. You are giving your entire self to understand what I am saying. This is dedication. So it is applying one's time, attention, or self entirely to a particular cause or activity. This is called as dedication. So dedicate, commitment plus perseverance. Commitment is that I will do this. But if any kind of difficulty is coming, you won't do. When perseverance is also there, that despite so many odds that is trying to pull you out from this okay, do in a same manner, even with more energy. This is dedication because you are also perseverant. This is a good example, very good example of Tulsi Gowda, 72-year-old tribal woman, dedicated whole life towards the nature and environmental conservation. Okay. Then a very, very important term, empathy. So empathy is what? Empathy is when you are talking to your friend. Okay. He may have gained weight from the last time you had seen him. Now, instead of judging right away that why you gained weight and this and that, you are trying to understand what happened with him. Okay. If he is good or not, if his health is good or not, what is happening in his life. Instead of directly judging, that means trying to understand his circumstances by being in his shoes. That is called as empathy. If you are being judgmental by just seeing one time, that means you don't have empathy. Empathy is seeing with the eyes of other, listening with the eyes of other, and feeling with the heart of other. You're understanding the emotions of someone else by keeping yourself in his position. So if you want to judge a prostitute, you have to keep yourself in her position. So what would have happened? She may have been sold by his father. There was a very sad story that I was reading of Kailash Satyarthi, and he had written that one of the girl that he met, he said that Baba, no, my father sold me in 10-12,000 less than a price of value, and she was crying. So Kailash Satyarthi also cried a lot. That is empathy, understanding the position of other instead of judging. Okay, this is called as empathy. There is a beautiful prayer written by Narsingh Mehta, which Gandhiji used to sing in his Sabarmati Ashram and Vardha Ashram. Was Vaishnav Jan to tene kahiye, je peed padai jane re. That is, a God is like a man who understands pain and sorrows of others. This is the perfect definition of empathy. So there are so many. I gave example of Kailash Satyarthi. You can give example of Mother Teresa. Okay, so there are so many examples of empathy. Another example which I have written here: in USA, a Uber driver donated kidney to man whom he just met during a ride. This is called as empathy. It's not knowing. There was not any kind of emotional bond between both. There is a beautiful quotation of Roy T. Bennett that be the reason someone smiles, be the reason someone feels loved and believes in the goodness in people. Be someone that someone still believes in the humanity. Okay, this is called as real empathy. Okay. A person having empathy is the best person, no matter if he has money or not. This is the best quality that a person can have. Now, what is the difference between empathy and compassion? Empathy is that you are understanding the emotion of someone else by being in his or her shoes. Compassion is one step further. You are acting as well. You are acting as well based on that. Compassion is looking beyond your own pain to see the pains of others and having a strong desire to also elevate that suffering. You also have a desire to act and try to reduce that pain. That is compassion, even one step ahead. But to have compassion, you should have empathy. So, empathy is the foundation. Now, empathy and desire for action, you can make this diagram. This is the compassion. Okay. There is another beautiful quotation that I always used in my answer was kindness and compassion can heal those wounds which medicine can't. Okay, it is always said now that when you are, if you would have done MBBS degree or if you are from medical fraternity, this is something which is being taught that even if a person medically cannot live even for 1 or 2 months, it is not said that you won't live. This is not empathy. They are not said straight face. Okay, they are trying to heal from the illness with compassion and kindness. You would have seen the movie Munna Bhai MBBS. Everyone is just remembering Munna Bhai MBBS that he was a fraud doctor. No, the biggest lesson that movie says is that through kindness and love, that person who wasn't even a doctor was healing people. So that's very, very important. At the end, your body, your immune system will fight against that disease. Chemicals and medicines can only stimulate that. Okay. And if someone is believing that he will die, then even highest form of treatment or medicines can't help. So at the end of the day, it's the compassion and kindness that is very, very important along with any kind of treatment. Okay. There are so many examples that I have written. Okay. And Dalai Lama has given a very beautiful quotation that love and compassion are necessities, not luxuries. Without them, humanity cannot survive. If there is no love, if there is no compassion, then no matter if a society is very, very rich, that society cannot survive. The society will perish. Then another very, very important term is objectivity. So if you have to take decision, the decision is not based on your belief, decision is not based on your biasness, but decision is based upon established facts and figures. Okay. So this is called as objectivity. Your personal opinion, your biases, your prejudice won't determine your action, but the action will be based upon the established facts and figures. Okay. Gandhi used to say that there should be purity of mean, not only the purity of ends. So how you are achieving a particular action, that means is also very, very important. That's why he said that getting freedom through violence will not be ethical in his eyes, because he wanted even means to be ethical. Okay. But objectivity is not desirable when empathy comes into picture. Like if you are an officer and someone very old and physically especially able, and there is no one to take care, and if that person doesn't have the requisite document also, your empathy should guide your action. It shouldn't become bureaucratic. Bureaucratic attitude is that no matter a person dies, but you will just care about the dead letters. There was a very painful scenario in which a small child died crying for rice in Jharkhand, and that officer didn't provide the ration card just because the mother didn't have Aadhaar card. So that came in the newspaper also. So that is not the ethical action. For people who do not have requisite means but are the right beneficiary, they should go one step further, and that is what is desirable. Okay. The next important term is impartiality. Okay. So if you have to make any kind of judgment, if, say for example, you are a civil servant and you have to decide on a land dispute. Okay. So if you are taking that, if you are judging or deciding or assessing that situation by not affiliating or becoming biased, being neutral, being fair, then you are impartial. And our Indian Constitution, if you see Article 15 also, it is trying to impose the value of impartiality. Okay. So in civil services, it is very, very important because civil servants have to work under a political boss. Why? Because they have the power of transfer, posting, etc., etc. Now, if they are getting affiliated, if they are getting affected because of that politician, they won't be able to do ethical action. Because of the fear of transfer, posting, and promotion also. Okay. And there is another nexus that is between civil servants and businessmen, because businessmen are the cash cows. Even politicians has to depend on them. And civil servants, if they want to amass property from corruption, the only means is businessmen. Now, businessmen will provide you money, but no one provides you money without any desirable goal. So their unethical goal is that they won't give you, they won't file the proper income tax. They will not follow proper rules or guidelines, and the civil servants will turn blind eye. Okay, just because they have taken the bribe. So this happens when there is no impartiality, and in some places now, in fact, in most of the 1990s and early 2000s, in Uttar Pradesh and Bihar specifically, there was also gundas or bahubalis playing a vital role in this. They were influencing. Initially they were trying to help politicians to win an election. Then they found that even if they will contest election, they can also become politicians. So first they were helping, then they became themselves politicians, and they were so arm twisting. They were not even they were not influencing through money, but through sheer muscle power. Okay. There is a very important guideline that FIR shall be registered impartially without considering from which socioeconomic background a person is coming, race, gender, but that doesn't happen on ground most of the time. If a person is wealthy, if a person is a businessman, has a lot of money, belongs to a politician family, or from his father, mother, or relative is a civil servant, they will be given special preferences. Okay. Non-partisanship is not is mainly related to not being owned or affiliated. Like if you are part of civil services and you joined the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh or Muslim League, then you are a partisan because you became affiliated or owned by an ideology. Now you are affiliating yourself with an ideology. Until you are a civil servant, you shouldn't affiliate yourself with any ideology. Even if you are a religious, that religion ends to your home itself. Okay, you cannot be a Hindu civil servant or Muslim civil servant. In your eyes, everyone should be equal. That is non-partisanship, not affiliating yourself to any group or ideology. Okay. And this is very, very important for the major relations between the politicians and the civil servant. Okay. Then there is a very important term, probity. So probity is the strict adherence to the highest principles and ideals. Like if a person has highest ideals, like a person is honest, has integrity, has very high character, then that person has probity. Okay, so probity is the highest pedestrian because it is inculcating all sorts of highest values and virtues. So there are examples of Lal Bahadur Shastri, Sas and Karan, you must be knowing this. And in probity in administration is desirable because it is an anchor that keeps the ship of governance sailing on the cause of honesty, integrity, and accountability. Because if the civil servants are compromised and they are acting just based on their own interest of transfer, posting, promotion, which most of sadly the civil servants are doing, then the governance won't be good governance. Okay, to have good governance, that civil servant should be impartial and have probity. Okay. There is a code of ethics and code of conduct. So code of conduct are usually do's and don'ts. Whenever you join any service, even corporates, they give you a strict guidelines which you have to adhere. If you won't adhere, they will punish you. Okay, that is code of conduct. What you are ought to do with what you are not ought to do, that are codified. But code of ethics are not codified. Codified means they are not detailed. They are a broad outlines, a set of principles that affects decision making. So they try to cover loose ends. Rules won't discuss about empathy. They cannot say, no, if you are not empathetic, you will be thrown from the job. That cannot happen. But this will be covered under code of ethics. It provides a scope for conscience also. It provides you moral autonomy also. Okay. Then there is work culture. So work culture, if you are working in any organization, there will be shared motto. Motto hoga. If you are working Tata, we have to work for people. This is shared motto. Shared attitude. Attitude means that if you are, again, I will give the example of Tata, that you have to serve people. Then this is shared attitude. Okay. Or customers first. This is a shared attitude. Values. What value stand for? What value the organization stands for? Like in Labasna, it is written Srilam Param Bhushnam. So they are standing for character. Character is the highest virtue. Okay. So this is the value they are standing for. Behavior. What will be the common set of behavior of people working in a particular organization? Okay. There is a very beautiful quotation of Peter Drucker that culture eats strategy for breakfast. No matter you are making a big strategy for your particular organization, but if the culture is not positive, if the culture is toxic culture, then any kind of strategy won't work. Okay. Robert said that if ethics is poor at the top, the behavior is copied down the organization. As I always say that corruption in India is top down, not bottom up. There is a term which was given by Honorable Prime Minister that previously the bureaucracy or governance was ABCD. Avoid anything. If you have to take any decision, you will avoid. Or try to bypass the rules or confuse people or delay. From that, we have to align to road. Road is responsible decision making, responsibility, ownership of your decisions, accountable for your decisions, and discipline. Okay. So from ABCD to road. Second, as we talked about so many things like single window approach, system of rewards and incentive, monitoring and evaluation. So many things are there. Nowadays, there is also flexi work culture. So India Mart moved to weekly salary pay policy in India. So this is not pro employer policy. But there is a negative example of Infosys or L&T. L&T had given a very derogatory remark as well, that they were demeaning even having the laser, not having the leaves. Okay, which is very, very important. This is part of our constitution also, and have been codified at so many places. Okay, in European Union, they are strictly followed. And without having leisure, how will an employee will be in a right mental health? Okay, so that is a negative example of it. Public service. So it refers to the government's effort, dedicated effort, okay, serve and fulfill the needs of the public or people by providing them essential services or programs or initiatives that enhances the well-being and quality of life of its citizens. So Ayushman Bharat tries to provide insurance coverage to people. So it is a kind of public service. Or Har Ghar Nal. It is a kind of public service. Providing public spaces like parks is a kind of public service. Okay. And I think this is given in Arthashastra. In the happiness of his subjects lies the happiness of king. So king's happiness lies in the betterment of people, betterment of general society. If the general society is happy, if there is prosperity, the king's happiness lies in this. This is the true value, true dharma. So policies like DBT has tried to curb corruption, MG Narega, etc. Then there is an important term called as corruption. So corruption is now when you have a position in which you can take any decision which can either benefit you or is aligned with your duty. If it is just benefiting you or your own affiliated peoples, then it is a corruption. It can be also moral corruption. Corruption need not be only financial. Okay, it can be intellectual as well. So there are so many nuances to the corruption. So if you have a position, if you have a status, if you have resources, and you are directly or indirectly using it for personal benefits. Okay, so this is corruption. World Bank has said that the single greatest obstacle to economic and social development is corruption. So second ARC report has said that had given two facts about corruption. The first is institutions which is highly corrupt. So if you are even if you are honest, if you are joining a particular institution which is corrupt, so you will become corrupt. Second is individuals who are highly corrupt in honest setup as well. So both the things exist. It can be coercive, it can be collusive. Coercive means that you do not have free will. Collusive means you are hand in glove. Okay. Santarman committee had given some of the causes as well why corruption is happening in India. So they had told that now in India, government is taking more than what it could manage. They will try to even have their own aircraft. Previously, so they also had their own cycle company, radio company. They were making watches. And how the economy was deprived was that even if you have money, even if you want to buy a bicycle and you have money, still because the government works in a very slow-paced manner and there is a huge bureaucratic backlog and slow speed, you will get the bicycle in 3 months. Now, there was a huge mismatch between demand and supply because government organization doesn't work based on demand and supply. And that was the reason that Air India was facing every day 20 crore loss, that they are not working based on efficiency. So the biggest reason that Santaman committee said that government is trying to include himself in everything. Okay. Second was scope of discretion in the exercise of power. So when the things were not transparent, when the things were not shown on internet, the things were not codified, people were not aware, the things were happening on pen and paper, and you have to go physically to the office. This is where the discretion comes into play. That is why government is trying to make everything online, e-governance. You can make your Aadhaar change some of the things you can change in your Aadhaar, like phone number, etc. Even online address. Okay, you don't have to go to the UIDI office. There are small centers also made of Aadhaar. So things are made perfectly online. And it is happening even if you are working in income tax. The income tax department is becoming faceless because it is not the benefit of thousands employee that matters for the development of country, but crores of people. Their benefit should happen. Then only corruption will be curbed. Then come for some process of public service. If you have visited any kind of government offices, or even if you belong to EWS, OBC, or any of the categories, you may have to go so many times to make uh, those kinds of certificates. This is the situation of any kind of government offices, unless until the person is very, very honest. And corruption's price is paid by the poor, was said by Pope Francis. Then the utilization of public fund. So the public fund should be utilized based on public trust. You are a trustee, you are not the owner. Now you will hear that politicians say that I have made 10,000 crore of road. That prime minister is giving kind of soga to a particular state. This is wrong and unethical terms. They are just trustee. The money is not of prime minister. The money is not of civil servant. The money is of people. They are just the trustee. So doctrine of public trust should have. Second is doctrine of appropriateness. That is, you have to use equity, efficiency, and economy while utilizing any money. Okay. The next important term is accountability. So accountability in the context of public service means whatever action you are taking, you are answerable for that, for any decision or act or omission. Omission means for 10 people have applied. You have omitted 5 people. Should give a reason for it. You cannot say that I am a public servant, I am a civil servant, I am an IAS officer, I will do whatever I want. This is not accountability because everyone has to work under the law and constitution of India. This is called as accountable to your decision. There are things like TORA, the Transparency of Regulation Act. Like if any changes you are doing in a particular legislation or law or rules, you have to post that in your website so that even any person can go to the website and see what all rules are there. Okay. So there is an example of now Portuguese health minister resigned after a pregnant Indian tourist died in Lisbon. This is called as accountability. When there is power, there is discretion, but there is no accountability. Then only corruption happens. Okay. Then there is another very important term, which is known as transparency. So transparency means that whatever I told about tender. So if you have to disclose tender, then the criteria of passing the tender, the process, the system is known to all. It's not that only your friend or your relative is knowing what is the criteria, process, and system. So everybody has a chance to win that tender. That is called as transparency. It includes participative governance, governance in which there is involvement of people. It is called as participative governance. The information is shared, disseminated. Not only information is shared, but information is people friendly. It is in vernacular language. It is in a format that even a person who is disadvantaged can understand it. It is called as transparency. And it also includes accountability. Thomas Jefferson has said that information is the currency of democracy. So most important part of democracy is information dissemination. Okay, it's not just having an election every 5 years. That's why we are categorized as flawed democracy by so many international organizations, because there is lack of information dissemination. Like our own honorable prime minister is not doing press conferences. That means he's not being answerable to people. That shouldn't happen in a healthy democracy. You have to face the people. You have to answer why you took a particular decision. Even if you won by getting lakhs of votes, still you are answerable to people. This is called as being transparent. Okay. This is, I think, a repeat of the scan. Ethical governance. Okay. So good governance is having now all those 8 principles that has been given by UNDP. Ethical governance is even one step ahead. So it is about conducting affairs with all the ethical values: honesty, integrity, accountability, trust, and confidence in the organization of government. That is called as ethical governance. Corporate governance. So corporate governance means it is a set of system, process, and principle. जिससे ये ensure होता है कि company है. If you have started a company and you are running in a manner that it is helping you, like Byju's. So Byju's were running in a manner that was helping only the head of the Byju's. The employees were not paid at time. The informations were not disseminated at time. The cost of courses were high, but there was no quality education. So this is the lack of corporate governance. Okay. Because company is not governed in best interest of all stakeholders. Stakeholders were their employees. Stakeholders were their students. Stakeholders were their shareholders. Okay. So the company or organization, any corporate organization should be governed in best interest of all stakeholders, not only the owner or managing director or board of chairpersons. Warren Buffett has given a very beautiful quotation. It takes 20 years to build a reputation and just 5 minutes to ruin it. So, Infosys was previously said that, yeah, this organization, Narayan Murthy is very, very honest and this and that. But the recent things that he had said, now like 72 hours work, 80 hours work. So people went on to ask that your CEO was earning a particular like X salary in 2001, now is earning 17X. But the employees are still getting the same salary. And you are donating 100 to 100 crores after your grandchildren are born. So this is not the case that you don't have money. You have enough fund and you are doing body shopping. Body shopping means that you are taking a particular tender from overseas company, and the difference between the money that you took from that company and you are paying that employee, the difference is your profit. You are not making any kind of product. So it is the direct result of harassing your employees. So this is the trust and the honesty and all the stories that they made. Because of that statement, it broke down in just 5 minutes. Or Satyam Computers. So it was that time one of the leading companies. But because of that scam, in just 5 minutes, all the trust vanished. Adani's. So because of the Hindenburg report, you must have seen that how the share prices were sliding. Nowadays, they are doing all sorts of insider trading and this and that. The related companies are buying their own share. All these kinds of things happen in the country. Even SEBIs are going through so many. The SEBI head is under the scanner itself. So this is happening in the country. Okay. Uday Kotak committee had given certain principles like separation of chairperson and CEO MD. Okay. Then half of board members to be independent directors. Minimum qualification for independent directors. Disclosure should be enhanced. Disclosure of auditors' credential. IL&FS crisis happened because the poor quality auditors were employed. Okay. So auditors, when they will be good, they will give the ratings appropriately. Okay. So their credentials should be there. Most of the time, what used to happen was that auditors are related. They are from related company. So they are not auditing in a proper manner. There was a recent scenario of IndusInd Bank. RBI had not audited them for a decade. And then it was found that accounting was not done properly. So this would not have done that. Reserve Bank of India employees didn't know that IndusInd Bank exists. It was one of the fastest growing bank. There must be some kind of bribe or some kind of collusion that would have happened. But in our country, no such investigation happens at a large scale. Not only IndusInd Bank should be penalized, but also Reserve Bank of India, there should be an inquiry who all people are responsible for it. Okay. Then there is corporate social responsibility. So it is now that corporate should act now based on three principles: that their action should benefit planet, people, and they should also get profit. Planet, that it should be environmentally sustainable. People, that it should benefit the general society where they are working. If they are working in India, if they are organized in India, it should benefit the larger public interest. And profit, their own profit. Okay. So this is called as CSR. CSR, you must have seen that now. But in India, now CSR is not done properly. Most of the companies, they are just trying to fulfill the demand. They all are now investing in similar kinds of things. If they are trying to make water, drinking water facility, then all are doing that. If they are doing in a particular region, everyone is doing in that particular region. There is collusion. There are thekedars who are executing that. So CSR is not being implemented in India with letter and spirit. Laws alone cannot make a difference. People has to have honesty and integrity. Okay. Laws cannot say that you have to do this and that manner in so many details. There is a limitation to law. Okay. Yeah, there everything is written. Lack of long-term planning, etc. They see it as a burden. And there are reasons also. Because in India, the taxation rate is very, very high, even for corporates, even for common people. So, and the facilities that are being provided is not of appropriate quality. So companies are trying to not give taxes. Small traders are not trying to fill taxes. People are employing big CA just to circumvent taxation. This is all happening because people are not satisfied with the money they are paying for taxes. They are not getting any kind of facilities. It was said in one of the viral posts also in Twitter, Facebook, that India is having taxations like Europe, but facilities like Somalia. Okay, so there is a lot of leakages. There is a lot of freebie just to win the election. There is a lack of long-term planning. Okay, so people here there are two types of people who want to become civil servant. One type of person wants to do corruption. Okay, the second type of person wants to make a difference. Sadly, The second type of person are 40-50% when they are trying to enter the service. But the moment they are given power, the second type of person are reduced to only 10 to 15%. And the first type of person, their number increases in a large number. Now they are doing harm to even the honest civil servants. Why? Because, say, for example, if there are 100 posts, now 100 posts are there, 2, 3 are very highly powerful. Or there are 100 places, 2, 3 are Nexal affected areas or far flung areas, or posts where there is no work. If there is no work, it's a punishment for an honest person. So they have out of 50 people, 45 people who can compromise on their integrity. So those 5 people are thrown to those kinds of posts where there is no substantial work or nothing substantial they can do. So this is happening because the 90% of people are not honest. That's why those 10% are also suffering. If the majority were honest, then how could they transfer everyone? How could they punish everyone? It cannot happen because the majority are dishonest. That's why the honest people are punished. Okay. You must have heard these stories of Nasok Khemka. There are so many stories because I had first-hand experience also in working for government for a brief period. So I observed this scenario as well. That people who were trying to open the files, etc., then the information were disseminated by their subordinates. And then many have lost their lives because of that. Two IS officers lost life in 2 years because of a land scam in Karnataka. One was very, very high grade officer, and one was a district magistrate who was concerned with that land scam of the former chief minister. He was shot when he was coming from doing the dinner by 2 people, 2 gunners, and they shot him. So this all is happening in the country because there is a lack of majority of people who are honest. Okay, so if the country has to change, it will not change with the policies or laws. It will change with the right attitude, right morality, and right mindset people doing right job. So civil services is not a place where you come for lakhs of money. The salary is less. You are coming to make the difference. So if your calling is to help people, to alleviate the suffering, now to stand for the people who are disadvantaged, then this is the place. I have heard many of my friends telling that I have joined civil service, the salary is very less. So I told them that you knew this. You came here to make the difference. If you wanted more money, you could do business, you can join corporate. There are, for different interest people, there are different things. Okay. So if you have the calling, the right mindset people should do the right job. And this is why the UPSC institution was made to choose the right kind of people. But any kind of process would not help if the larger people are not aligning with the ethical values. Okay. Then there is ethics in international relations. So often there is a narrow principle of international relations that just talks about own national interest. So working on own national interest, the Machiavelli is a real politic. But if the problems are same, like if environmental degradation is happening, that environmental degradation will affect even America, it will affect Africa, it will affect everyone. You will see that lots of avalanches, hurricanes are coming to United States as well in huge numbers since last 5-6 years. So it will affect everyone. So when problems are same, then action should be also aligned. The action should not be just based on narrow national interest. The action shouldn't be just based on that I will make nuclear weapons and I will try to pressurize people just by possessing that weapon. That will lead to arms race. One country possessing nuclear weapon, the enemy will also try to have a nuclear weapon. That everyone will have nuclear weapon. Then even if one country is using it, then another country will use it. Then humanity will be in the lose-lose situation. Okay. So there should be the country's behavior or country's action shouldn't be based on high-handedness. The current United Nations organization setup is based on dadagiri. The 5 people, the 5 UNSC members are deciding whatever they want. Whenever even there is things like just things like designating a terrorist, designating a person who is trying to kill or have killed hundreds of innocent people, there will be China stepping in and saying that trying to veto it. Okay, so this type of dadagiri was done by even USA in past, sometimes by Russia, sometimes by China. So this is not based on just principle. That is why you will see that countries are fighting among themselves. There is no consensus for environmental conservation and sustainable development. Okay, and that is why there is convention after convention, but the principles that were aligned are not getting fulfilled. Okay. So the mutual relation should be based on justice, human rights, cooperation, and responsibility. It should not happen that Pakistan is sponsoring terrorists, but the country is in my interest to suppress the development of India so that I will be the Dada of Asia. So I will try to support even the terrorism happening against India. But if that is happening against me, I will try to suppress it. Okay, that is done by China. No matter how much developed they become, But moral values are very, very important. The people of India always respect Japan. Why they respect? When COVID-19 was happening, so they had tried to now take out all the kinds of soft loan that they were giving to other countries, but they still told that for India, the window will be still open. Okay. And they try to help countries who are in need, even African countries. So they have high moral compass. Before the nuclear attack that was done by USA on Japan, Japan was very different. It was organized based on only narrow national interest. But post that, the Japan aligned its the policies, interest, everything with a very broader perspective. And our philosophy is to Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. The world is a one family. But all of this stands one side. When the country is on attack, when the country is security is compromised, the country has all right to act in interest to safeguard the own people. They cannot say that we stand for ahimsa paramo dharma, and even if China is occupying Aksai or any kind of places which belong to India, I will still keep mum. Then what will happen is they will march to your Arunachal Pradesh and other territories as well, because you were mum when they were trying to do unethical actions. Okay. So when you think now that if some kind of religious clashes are happening and I'm safe, sorry, when the homes will burn, the fire will reach to you as well. So this is the philosophy. The biggest crisis of humanity is not that people who don't have power are silent. But the biggest crisis is the people who have power, the people who have resources to fight are silent. So this is the biggest crisis. Okay. So this is the basic things that you need to understand. Then there is emotional intelligence. I will try to wrap up with this very, very important term. Emotional intelligence is, it starts with yourself. So first is understanding your own emotion, perceiving it. First perceiving it. You are feeling, say for example, angry. So first perceiving you are feeling any kind of emotion, then understanding why it is happening, then trying to manage it, and then respond. Trying to manage. If it's the anger is very, very high, how I can, if it's desirable to react or to not react, or you are trying to control your emotions according to the ethicality of that particular scenario. Okay, if you are in again, I will give the example of war. When there is a war and you are feeling angry on enemies because they have killed your buddy, then there is all right. There is all right to kill them and show your anger. So anger is not bad, but showing anger at the right time, at the right place to the right person is an ethical action. And this is all emotional intelligences. It's not that you will become a monk. All the emotions will be there. You are utilizing your emotions and others' emotions for ethical action, for benefit. So it is also about when you're talking to someone else, you are also trying to perceive his or her emotion, understand, manage, and respond. Then you are emotionally intelligent. You must have heard, you must have seen MS Dhoni when he was captain. So he was emotionally intelligent. Why? Because he was not always now very aggressive or showing all his emotions. He was trying to manage his emotion in such a way that his mind is working properly. And he used to show anger also when it was desirable. When there was an episode of the Bangladeshi fans and showing some headless posters, etc., then he had showed aggression. He had also beaten them. Okay, so he was showing aggression when it was desirable, and he was keeping cool head so that he had plan of action, which has three scenarios always. If plan A fails, plan B is there. If plan B fails, plan C is there. That is why he was able to, I think, win all the ICC trophies in his very first attempt, like ICC T20 World Cup in first attempt, 50 over World Cup, Champions Trophy. I think everything he won in the very, very first attempt because he was emotionally intelligent. Okay, that is why he was called Captain Cool. You can take example in any of the field. Okay, it allows us to respond, not to react. That if someone is hurling abuses to you, you also started abusing. That means you are not emotionally intelligent. So you should have first of all self-awareness. When you are aware of yourself, then regulating yourself. Also social awareness about others, and then managing the relationship according to the awareness. This is called as emotional intelligence. One of the quotation is rule your feelings. Otherwise, your feelings will rule you. Okay. Aristotle had said what I had said you earlier. Anyone can become angry. That is easy. But to be angry with the right person, to the right degree, at the right time, for right purpose, and in the right way is not easy. Okay. So this is how I wanted to discuss the most important terms. I wanted to explain you so that you internalize. When you internalize terms, then you will be able to utilize it in your answer, whether it is a 10 marker, whether it is a quotation, whether it is a case study. Because in ethics, using the language of ethics will help you to score more marks. If you are writing the language of general study, then you won't be able to score more than 120 marks. So I hope this helped